in today's video I thought I would go through with you how to plan your first trip to Japan. I am currently planning my second trip back. I'm going back later in the year, and I thought I would take some notes while I did it because there's some things you don't really think about and that can be bad. So how to plan where to stay, accommodation, what are you going to do? My experience with accommodation in Japan has been solely Airbnb, which personally I think is great because you're actually kind of in the neighborhood more so than you would be if you were just staying in a hotel or whatever. So I would definitely look to Airbnb for your accommodation. In regards to where to stay, this is how I figure out where I want to base myself when I go to Japan. So I just make a list of all the different things and places I want to go to and see. So for example, last time I went, I really wanted to go to Kyoto. I really wanted to see those vicious evil deer in Nara, wanted to go to Harry Potter World. So the kind of central point to that was Osaka. So we stayed in Osaka. Also really wanted to go to Shibuya and Mount Fuji and Harajuku. So we stayed in Tokyo in Shibuya, and that was just kind of how we figured out central places that were convenient to get on the JR lines. Now, the JR line, you're gonna need one of these to get around, and this is a Japan Rail Pass. These are exclusive to foreigners and you cannot buy them in Japan. You have to buy it before you go. You can get your Japan Rail Pass to be valid for a series of different time periods. I think it's 7 days, 14 days and 21 days. So that's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't recommend enough to get one because the train lines are a really big part of Japan and getting around, and it also includes going on the Shinkansens, like the bullet trains. So if you want to be going like I did, like from Tokyo to Osaka, you need a JR pass. Yes, it does seem kind of expensive, but I've spoken to friends that have left their JR passes at home and had to spend like $100 for one train ride, which is just crazy. And I just don't want you to have to do that. So please get a JR pass before you go. As far as deciding on places to go, these were the main places I sourced that information from. So YouTube and Atlas Obscura. YouTube is YouTube. I mean, there's heaps of awesome travel vlogs and J vloggers and all the rest of it. There is an abundance of information out there to inspire you on where to go in Japan, and Atlas Obscura is a website that is kind of geared towards the weird and wonderful things of different countries and locations. So that's kind of a bit more up my alley. I don't know about you, but if you're interested in finding those kind of lesser known attractions, definitely type in where you're staying to Atlas Obscura to find out some places. And when I was actually in Japan to find places to go and things to do, I searched on Instagram. Like I just, you know, hashtag Harajuku, hashtag Osaka, whatever, wherever I was. And when people would post photos that were geotagged, that would be how I would find little locations when I was staying in places. So like for example, the Rabbit Cafe that I went to. We were just staying in Harajuku and I searched Harajuku and there was someone had checked in and tagged themselves or whatever in this Rabbit Cafe. So I just followed that pin. So that's a really cool way to find things when you're actually there. I don't really know how helpful that would be apart from just getting general ideas when you're back overseas in your home country, but that's a good idea as well. Also, in regards to getting around, you're going to need Wi-Fi in some capacity. One way of doing it is if you book your accommodation through Airbnb, a lot of apartments and hosts will offer pocket Wi-Fi as a part of staying with them. And pocket Wi-Fi is basically just like this little bubby modem about the size of like a smaller iPhone. But exactly that, it's just like a Wi-Fi modem. And it's so handy because you will get lost and you're gonna need Google Maps. So I would definitely recommend it, and also it's just handy to kind of quickly look things up, or if you want to look up a phrase if you haven't learned any like hiragana or whatever before you go. Alternately, if you can't get accommodation or you would prefer to stay in, you know, standard hotels, you can also get pocket Wi-Fi at the airport, and you have to pre-book it, but it's like when you arrive you pick it up and then when you come back to the airport to leave you drop it off. Now I was looking at this option for me for the next time I go this year for about 3 weeks time, and I think it was about $170 for 21 days, so that's pretty solid. So I'm considering doing that myself. One really boring thing that I just have to mention is get insurance. Insure your big fancy camera, insure your body, especially your legs if you're going for a snow trip. It's just don't travel without insurance. I just don't understand why people don't do that. Oh, Sorry, I'm a mum. I'm a mum on the inside. I'm like 30 years old. Also, you can find this in Japan, but it might get dire if you leave it too late. Bring a wall charger or a USB charger that is going to convert to Japanese wall sockets, because they are different to Australian wall sockets. Not too sure about American, but definitely different to Australian ones. So if you're coming from here to there, bring a wall transformer thing. If not, if all of your devices are USB chargers, a lot of accommodation has USB wall chargers, so that could be an option as well. And on the note of technology, I would recommend bringing an extra memory card if you're a big like film photography person. I definitely am. I took 3 cameras, I had 3 memory cards and then 2 spares, because, and I filled them, and I would have been so sad if I had to, you know, every other day start deleting footage because I didn't have any room left. So extra memory card, just think about it. Or definitely do it. I'd definitely do it. As far as money goes, I was told that Japan is a very cash society, but then when I actually went there, this might be because I really stuck in a city, like I just lived in Shibuya and Harajuku. I used my travel card a lot for the majority of the time, but then at some restaurants and things, cash was preferred, so I would bring like a healthy balance of cash and your travel card. I mean, you can always get money out at 7-Elevens because they're just everywhere, but just keep a balance, and also bring a coin purse, because you're gonna live that vending machine life. Like, don't lie to yourself. There's gonna be many a night when you're too drunk or something, and you just can't be bothered to go out for dinner. You're gonna be eating chocolate topped mushrooms and freeze-dried ramen out of that vending machine in your hotel. You will do it, and you're gonna end up with an abundance of coins. Just annoying like 1 cent coins that you don't know what to do with, so definitely bring a coin purse for that. And I just got my travel cards through my bank that I usually use. They gave me 2, which is cool, so like you have a spare if something happens to the first one. So what I did to remember which one was the card I was actually using is I just stuck a little beetle on it. That's normal. And don't forget your passport, otherwise you're not gonna get very far. You're not going to get out of the airport, really, are you? When it comes to tickets for like Universal or the Studio Ghibli Museum or anything like that that you're interested in going in, personally I booked all of that stuff through a travel agent, just because a lot of those websites are in Japanese or partly in Japanese, and I just felt a bit, I had an old person moment, okay? I just felt a bit weird, not quite knowing how to navigate things exactly. Is that really lame? So I booked all of that stuff through a travel agent, which was fine and at no extra cost. But if you want to go ahead and book those things on your own, definitely do that. My just one tip, the one place you really need to book in advance too, is the Studio Ghibli Museum, and that's just because the tickets sell out on the day instantly. Like the day we went, we booked prior, but we got there at probably like 9 AM, like opening time, and they were already hanging out the sign for, sorry, sold out for the day. So definitely buy your Studio Ghibli tickets online, and it's like $25, so you'll be right. As far as packing for Japan goes, I'm not going to give you too many tips other than pack little, because you're going to bring back more. Probably a lot more. I went over with a backpack and I came home with a suitcase. At this point you've planned out where you want to go and therefore where you want to stay, and all your little activities and really touristy things or really obscure things if that's what you want to do, but just plan at least a few spare days where you aren't going to any attractions, you aren't doing anything particular, you're just gonna chill, because they were probably some of my favorite days spent in Japan, because we packed in so much touristy stuff like Universal, Studio Ghibli, Mount Fuji, Nara, Kyoto. Like we did it all in 2 weeks time, which was exhausting, and every couple of days it was just like, oh, I just want to stay home and enjoy my little neighborhood that I'd adopted for that amount of time. So I would really recommend doing that. Just maybe if you're staying for 2 weeks, plan lots of things for like 9 days of the trip, and then spend the other 5 just hanging out in your neighborhood, because that's when you discover those cool little nuances that Japan has to offer, and those little bookshops and little cool jewelry shops and things that you probably wouldn't have seen if you were just like, gotta go on the Shinkansen to go here, gotta go to Tokyo Disney. Like, whew. It is a holiday, just even though it's like so, everything is so like stimulating and just like overload, particularly if you're someone who's super passionate about Japan and everything it has to offer like I am, just make sure you leave some time to chill. That's probably my best tip. because those were the best days. Another thing that really helped me getting around last time I was in Japan was this map by Crumpled City. Now, it's essentially just that. It's a map of Tokyo City that's on this weird, crumply, plasticky, papery material that just doesn't rip and is waterproof and really durable. On the occasions where I didn't have access to Wi-Fi, I just whip this out, kind of get my bearings back, figure out how to get to like train stations and landmarks, things like that. And because it's so malleable, just shove it in your bag. Doesn't matter, it's all good. If you want to go for the Crumpled City approach, I got mine from a newsagent, but I've seen them at, you know, little gimmicks and niche bookstores like that as well. So to tie everything together that I've spoken about today, I would really recommend you get something like this. This is my green Kiki K travel wallet, and it was the best investment that I made for this trip. It's a big enough size that you can fit everything in it. I could fit my notes, my passports in here, my travel cards, all of my tickets, my Japan Rail Pass, my itinerary, my insurance, so I just had everything there to whip out whenever I needed it. And it's just a perfect size. It was thicker when it had all of my gear in it, but it never got stupidly large, and just chucked it in my baggie everywhere we went. This was absolutely the most handy thing that we took on the trip. And I mean, there's even a little space on the back for boarding passes. It zips up. It's just a good time, because really, like, you don't need to bring your normal wallet, because you're not going to need your Boost Juice loyalty card in Japan. Honestly, it's not a thing. So yeah, so they were just a few really basic tips to kind of help you get the ball rolling with planning your trip to Japan, whenever that may be. I'm really excited for you, even if you're not going. Just the thought of people going to Japan makes me so happy. So I hope some element of this video was helpful to you if you are planning a trip to Japan. If not, thanks for watching. I hope you like the sound of my voice, because I don't know how else this would be helpful to you. And I think that's all I have to say about Japan today. I really hope this was helpful if you are planning a trip, or if you're thinking of planning a trip, you definitely should, because it's amazing. And now I'm getting excited, because now I'm thinking about my trip and I'm just like, I've booked a cabin in the woods for a week and it just looks incredible. I'm so excited to take photos and videos. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!